It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer, and today we're going to be reviewing a beer from Sainsbury's I picked up. £3.50 or a 4 for 3 deal. Probably takes it down to £2.75 maybe on that 4 for 3 deal. I'm not great with maths. You do the maths. 75, 150, 225, maybe £2.70 on a deal, 4 for 3. But if you want it on its own, it will cost you £3.50. This is 6.2% ABV. It's by Two Tribes and it's their Dancer Tropical IPA. They're a brewery that King's Cross in London. They're a brewery for me, Two Tribes, that I see sporadically. I don't see their beer all of the time. You generally see it somewhere like Sainsbury's, where I picked this up. Beam me up. Tropical IPA. There we are. You can put a disco ball on your head and dance round while you got your old record player playing. Right, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. Tropical IPA. It always gives me the shivers. I'm not gonna mess about. I'm not gonna pull any punches. Whenever I read Tropical IPA on the front of a can, I think on a personal level, if I wasn't reviewing this beer, I would probably leave it on the shelf. Say I went into Sainsbury's to buy some beer to drink for myself. This would probably stay on the shelf. And that's just where I am with these tropical IPAs. They just give me the shivers. They give me the shivers because you never quite know what you're going to get. Always try, if you can, if the brewer will let you, read the back of the can, see what's in the beer. So they can talk about their tropical IPA, full-bodied, notes of mango, passion fruit, peach all day long. To kick off the night, supporting music, art projects, yeah, they can say all of these things if they want to. But what I want to read, and here they are. Water, malted barley, wheat, oats, hops, and yeast. I'm okay with that. Right. I'm alright with that. I'm absolutely okay with that. As long as there's no the dreaded ice cream concentrate. My fear with these tropical IPAs these days, or the hazy IPAs as well, is that there's breweries out there that will cut back on the hops and they will add ice cream concentrate instead of hops to the beer. And I just don't like them. I just think they taste artificial, synthetic and kind of rubbish. And it's the gamble, isn't it? It's that gamble of, what am I buying here? But thankfully, it seems like anyway, there's no ice cream concentrate in this beer. Beer in a glass, 1 finger whitehead, good levels of carbonation, nice and hazy. Ooh, there's a little bit of sediment, look in the bottom of the glass, can you see that? I'll show you more of that later on when I drink some of the beer, but let's get the aroma. Yeah, I mean, this sort of thing, just a few years ago, would have been called New England IPA, and I much prefer, I don't know why we're bending. I don't know why we're bending to calling beers tropical IPA, hazy IPA. If a style exists, New England IPA, that exists because it's a style and people understand that style. Okay, there's probably a level of simplicity. There's probably a level of simplicity from the brewery that they just want to call it hazy IPA. But for people like me, who have drunk some terrible tropical and hazy IPAs, it immediately puts you on the back foot. But this is smelling pretty good. Bit of grapefruit, bit of passion fruit, bit of mango. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Musty. A little bit musty, a little bit cardboardy. Like a little bit of wet cardboard, a little bit of like a mustiness coming through. No real... I could just tell with this beer. I don't know, I could just tell by the label. A little bit of bitterness on the back end. I'm trying to give the beer a chance. It's wet, slightly refreshing, but there's no layers to the beer. It's all one concentrated flavour. There's no layers. There's no, there's some malt. There's some grapefruit. There's some pepperiness. There's some spiciness. There's some orange peel. There's no like separate layers of flavour. And then there's no big bashing kind of bitterness on the back end. It's just one concentrated mash of a flavour. Like everything about this beer has been crumbled up into one flavour, and that is tropical, slightly wet, cardboardy, kind of not much in the way of sweet malt coming through, and tropical. For me, beer, certainly craft beer, definitely supermarket craft beer, is at a massive crossroads. It's at a massive crossroads. It can go either way. I think if craft beer takes the wrong turn, certainly supermarket craft beer, I think it will be the wrong turn forever. Breweries used to love innovating. Breweries used to pride themselves in making incredible beer. Stouts, imperial porters, saisons, lagers, IPA, pale ale, session IPA. But there's certain breweries and there's a certain part of this market that wants to travel down this hazy IPA stroke tropical IPA route. That for me, all I can see is disaster. All I can see is disaster. If you want to travel down that road, I think you're heading for, dare I say it, you're heading for disaster. And that's just me giving my personal opinion. If I was a beer review that didn't give a damn about the industry, then I'd be going, yeah, this is all right, you know, that sort of thing. But because I care for this industry and because I want this industry to succeed, I'm going to give my personal honest opinion on when I think something's heading in the wrong direction. This tropical IPA malarkey, this tropical hazy IPA malarkey from the supermarkets now, from the breweries that are putting beers into the supermarkets, it's disaster. Because what happens with the supermarkets is they'll go, oh yeah, will you brew us a tropical IPA or a hazy IPA? Yeah, go on, give us, and the brewers are like, oh yeah, this is great, we got a massive order from Sainsbury's. And then you pick up the phone like 2 months later and say, can we get more beer in? And they're cutthroat. They're massively cutthroat, these supermarkets, and they'll just go, no, they didn't sell very well, or yes. And then you go down that road of, oh, let's extend our brewery, we're doing really well, we're in now. We're in with a big supermarket, and we're, everything's rosy in the garden, and you extend your brewery, you start putting more fermenting vessels in, and you start expanding, and everything's great, and all of a sudden they pull a plug. I've seen them pull a plug. I've seen one of the big supermarkets, beginning with T. Of course, I'm not going down that road of, being taken to the old man with a funny wig and, hitting his wooden hammer on the table. But I've seen it where a brewery literally set their stall out with 330 milliliter cans with one of the big supermarkets. And because that big supermarket decided to put all of their beer in 440 milliliter cans and want that in their supermarkets, the brewery that just invested £1 million into a 330 milliliter canning line found themselves with no orders, and unfortunately they folded. And that was only a few years ago. It's a cutthroat business. I just can't see a future where everybody wants to drink this tropical IPA. I just can't see a future in that. And I find it extremely poor quality beer. So for that reason, and this is just a heads up for whoever's watching this video, whether drinker or maybe brewer, this is not the answer. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.